Oh, for God's sake, you gotta be kidding me. Sound test. Sound test again. Sounding test. That is more like it. Seth Bricks, hello. How are you doing? Good to see you tuning in. Let's ping everyone on Discord. I'm going to keep the stream open separately because if someone says there's an issue, then I can jump straight to it with the headphones in. Ooh, how are we doing? Not doing too bad. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's not bad on this side of things. Pretty chill. Most days are getting very samey. Still Legoing, still doing a lot of stuff, doing some sorting. Sorting off parts I actually need sorted, my car-related pieces. But this is good sorting. This is fun sorting. I've also seen in the chat, I discovered this when I was watching London Bridge Bricks live for the first time. For the first time on Friday, I should say. They've got this, what do you call it? Like a top fan system, I think they call it. So you got a number 1 crown next to your username, which is very interesting. I don't know how many regulars are going to be vying for these crowns. I know you can get a first, second, and third. That's otherwise pretty much it. Interesting thing. It's another feature, I guess. Right, how are we doing? Let's wait for some more people to tune in. Quick drink. If you can hear any white noise in the background, I do apologize. I have a fan over to my side, which is blowing some gentle air this way. My voice broke there. And I whacked my arm against the edge of the chair. Yeah. Otherwise, we should all be good in the hood. Again, give it a few more minutes. Let's get rid of that. Don't need that one. Don't need that one. Just these 2 tabs is all I need. Let me just quickly jump back on. Okay, wicked. Sound is A-okay. And I remembered this time to check the microphone settings, so I got the Blue Snowball mic plugged in instead of the rubbish one from this webcam. I don't know why it defaults to that one. Maybe because it recognizes that it's a 2-in-1 device. I did have a present from a friend. And I was thinking about getting this plugged in, but this was as I was setting up the live stream, so I thought, I'm going to have to leave this for another time. I was gifted a webcam from a friend of mine. So I think the next live stream I do, next Sunday, I'll give this one a try and let's see what it's like. It's currently 4 a.m. down here, working on Titmus shares. It kept me up all night. 4 a.m. Okay. Seth, thank you very much for tuning in. Go to bed. It's 4 a.m. Are you out of your mind? Terminator Fan 1984, thank you very much for tuning in. Hello, good to see you. How are you doing? No. You know what? That's a fair point, because I remember a time when this was a couple of years ago, when I was working in my previous job, where I was working shifts that finished at 10 p.m. So I would wake up in the morning 10 a.m., go through my day. My shift would start at 6 p.m. Shift ends at 10 p.m. It was only part-time, but that shifted my body clock a lot. So because I would be finishing so late and my mornings were so late, I would still have a few hours in the night to burn. So I wouldn't go to bed until some point between 12 midnight and 1 a.m. I remember on this particular night, I go to bed at 1 a.m. and I wake up at 4 a.m. Not, slowly waking up and you're rubbing your eyes. You think, oh, what's the time? It's full on. I've had 3 hours of sleep and suddenly I'm golden. So I went on Discord at 4 a.m. saying, yeah, it's a weird time zone for me, but I get to interact with a few different people, which caught some people. I remember catching some people in the server off guard because they recognize the time zone difference too. But yeah, waking up at 4 a.m. for me was very weird. To make sure I didn't disturb the household, I had to basically watch a bunch of videos on YouTube. I remember watching a load of Nerf Blaster reviews in particular for that morning, just to pass the time. 22 Fans says, I have been doing good, currently playing games, might make another Railway Series Lego mock. I was thinking of going for either a troublesome truck or another truck. We don't get to see too many troublesome trucks in Lego version, especially ones with faces. That'd be really cool to see. Or coach, didn't mean to type coach. Fair enough. But yeah, I still think, we get so much love for passenger-related rolling stock and engines. Freight doesn't get too much love. So, a troublesome truck, if you're going to go in for the face as well, wicked. Again, freight wagons are kind of basic, but at the same time, why not? Larry's Lego made troublesome truck. He has, yes, I have seen that video. That's a point. Has he been uploaded? I'm still subbed to him, right? Or has Lego taken me off? No, Lego hasn't. YouTube even. Has anyone else gone about, or not gone about, that's the wrong term, but has had the thing of being forcefully unsubscribed from certain channels due to inactivity, like a purge of some kind? He hasn't posted in 5 months anyway, so that's fine. Why was... Right, let me fix that. There we go. Yeah, it's been 5 months since his last video. Why? Oh, there was a couple of channels as well that I was forcibly unsubscribed from. I remember one, or maybe not remembering the channel. There was one channel from yonks ago being subscribed to, and after YouTube decided to do a silly thing, I haven't been able to re-find that channel since. I can only assume that channel got taken down. I don't really remember the content either. It was like meme-style content. Just a chill guy doing his own thing, making meme content. It's not the sort of thing I'd subscribe to, but this guy just hit my sense of humor perfectly. I can only assume that I was forcibly unsubscribed because on that day it happened. His channel must have been taken down for maybe offensive content. That's the only thing I really think of. But, nah. That's a shame. I've got a couple of models to showcase for this evening. We can do some talking, some chatting girl Q&A stuff maybe. I don't really have too much planned for tonight. Last week was... So yeah, last week I was just doing my own thing. I was chilling elsewhere. Got to 9 p.m. when I realized, oh shit, it's Sunday. I should have done a live stream. It got to that late in the evening. I thought, well, sorry, there's no point in doing a post to say sorry that I missed it. Just let the night come and go. So Seth, who's in the chats earlier on the Discord server, said if there's going to be a live stream tonight, and I thought that's a good time to make it known. So streaming tonight. Last week I just missed it, so my apologies. We'll be back here as same as usual. And here we are now. Very good. So let's talk about Supersonic Brick Show from last week. So where is... Oh, that's a point. I need to get some pictures removed from the socials. Well, not from the socials, but to be uploaded. So these four. So last Saturday, on the 12th, was Supersonic Brick Show, which was hosted by Gertz Lug, in the Aerospace Museum. Is that mirrored? Oh, no, it's just a different... Sorry, I'm flicking between the actual live stream page and the live stream replay tab. The aspect is slightly larger on the actual main page for me. Right, so where were we? Yes, so it was hosted in the Aerospace Museum here in Bristol, which is a massive venue. You're underneath one of the Concorde planes, which is so cool. 3rd year in a row we've done this show now. It is very popular. I had a massive turnout. And I was able to get Motoropolis City out on full swing. For the most part, I got 8 out of the 10 module dioramas for the city out on the show. The 2 that got omitted were the scrapyard, which I've got... Annoyingly, I keep kicking this bloody box. I need to move that. So the scrapyard was one of the 2 that was omitted, as well as the small petrol station and... car wash, that's the word I'm looking for. It was a bit of a shame because I tried to map out the plan to have everything included, but sadly that just didn't work. So having seen it all visualized in person, where's my map? Where's my map? Give me 1 second because I want to talk about this and show this off because this really does help. Oh, here we go. Okay, right, yes. This is the map I had, for Concord Supersonic. That's it, for Supersonic last Saturday. So for the most part, this worked. So as you can see here on this side, the street park is on one end and the bank is this end. So this was the this was the public facing side of the tables. This is where I was standing as the displayer. So first of all, the street park and the bank had to swap over because the street park, like the impound for the police station, has some fence. Where is it? So I'll be on this side technically. So there's fencing along there, which sits outside of the bay. Well, actually, it's just on this wall here. But there's fencing pieces I'm using that sit outside of the base plate, so that can't sit flush against another module. So when I discovered that here, because it's this particular line here where that is kind of causing kind of connection issues, for lack of a better term, I decided to. This is really awkward. So I decided to swap the street park and the bank on the basis that now the street park now has freedom to sit flush with all the other base plates, and the bank was actually reorganized. I made a post earlier on Instagram showing some changes to 3 of the diorama modules, which I will get to in a moment because it better explains what I've got here. But some last minute changes were made to the bank in the lead up to this show because I wanted to have it sit flush with another module. So in the future, where I'll be able to take more modules to shows and have more space available, I need to make sure that everything can sit together without any issues. The only example where that wouldn't be the case would be the petrol station, because it's one base plate wide but 2 base plates deep, so it needs space on both sides to be able to operate properly. So it's a bit of a unique scenario, but I do have an idea on how I can work that in. So that was the Mark 1 plan. Now that I've seen it in person, I know what I'm going to change. So first of all, if anything, the street park is going to sit against the end unit, which is what I call the toll booth. So the toll booth itself is sort of this area here. A couple of decorations just to mark off the edge of, because I don't want it to be like a slice of a city. I want you to be able to see an entrance to the city. I think that makes it a bit more realistic. It's the biggest diorama module anyways. It's 5 base plates wide, 2 base plates deep. And again, there's not too much detail there, but again, it's an end piece and it allows me to figure out connections and sort out a display space for the other modules that lead into the main city. So one thing that's going to happen is, I think if anything, the street park is probably going to go here, because there's not too much going on in terms of like space. So this is, hang on, turn it that way. So these 2 base plates here are just open space. So I can have either the street park or the police. Well, I kind of technically still have that in the form of the police station being here, because again, there's a fence piece that's sticking outside of the main base plate space on the module that it belongs to. So there's nothing being rubbed up against it, therefore all the base plates can be flush. I think it might look stupid to have a street park right next to a toll booth, but that's, for now, going to have to be the case. And I'll have to double check all of my other modules to see what can sit next to the street park. If anything, it's going to have to be a double space with the service station, the petrol station and the car wash sitting there, because again, this goes back into the case of something protruding the original base plate space on the diorama. And then when I make more in the future, I'll be able to figure out where they'll sit going that ways. But that was a really good thing to see, because I was fully expecting this to work, but obviously in person, that's going to be very different. So I'm going to keep this to hand. I'm going to map up City Mark II. This is technically Mark II, because a prototype was put together when I did a show back in May. But officially, this is Mark II. So City Mark III, I guess. I'll have to do some rearranging. But it is really good to see so much of it come together and actually have it all there. So much fun. So that was my time at I might as well just leave it here. So that was my time with Supersonic Brick Show. It was a really good event. It was a scorchingly hot event as well. So Friday evening for setup, it got to 35 degrees Celsius. Terribly hot. Saturday evening, when we were packing down, 36 degrees. My car was an oven. Oh, God. I'm so glad that when I parked, we, as displayers, were parked out of the way anyways. But I'm so glad that I was able to initially start off in an area where there was shade. As the day went on, the shade will move because, the sun moves. But I had the windows down just like that much. I mean, the only people that are going to be in that area will be us because that's our designated parking area. And all that hot air is getting out. I can't have anything, or I don't have anything to stop the hot air from getting in. But yeah, that was a godsend, just leaving the windows open a bit. Woo! It's actually been quite wet and rainy today. That's a good thing. I mean, as soon as the clocks went back, or what was it? They went forwards. As soon as they went forwards, instant heat wave. I swear to God. Today and maybe a couple of days over the past week, we've had some rain and it's cooled things down. I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it. Got the Vimto there. That's good stuff. Right. Shall we have a look at some new creations? They're technically new. But they're also... I'll tell you what, we'll get to that in a moment. So I want to carry on with the discussion we've just had. If I can get to my page. There we go. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, on Instagram, was it yesterday? Or yeah, earlier today, in fact. I posted some rebuilds of some of my dioramas. So the diner, the police station, and the bank have been rebuilt. Not necessarily rebuilt, that's actually incorrect. They've been reorganized. So the bank and the diner were 4 base plates in width, and that they are all too in depth. But the diner and the police station in particular were 4 base plates in width. So I've been able to shrink them down to 3 base plates. The reason why I've done that is because that will force whatever's on the side to come forward and utilize that space that's in the front. Because when I took everything to the show last Saturday, it was a great visualization of so much dead space that was there. I mean, I got the base plates that were stripped along the middle. So it was 5 base plates wide, 2 base plates for the dioramas, a base plate in the middle, which acted as the main road, and another 2 base plates, which was the other side of the city. So it really helped seeing how much dead space there was. And it's a bit tricky to utilize that because as I'm making the modules, I've got the building itself and I've got a natural space in front of it just to be able to have that on its own. But when it's all put together, that dead space needs to be filled in. So what I have gone ahead and done is I have squished it a little bit. So if we start off with the diner, because this was the biggest change. So if we look at it this way, so you've got the main diner section there. The diner building itself is there. There was the classic style petrol station and just a space off to the side. Back onto the left side, however, was the car park. I've stripped that one away. So the diner building itself is in that top left corner. The car park is now right next to it. And looking at how other diner mocks especially, and even diners in real life where they have the petrol station right in front of the building, that's now there. So the front space has been utilized. And it looks a bit odd. I mean, it's frustrating because I want to make sure that I can have cars come and go in a realistic sense, but I don't know if I've utilized all the space as correctly as I could. It's frustrating. If you go to my Instagram, which should be linked in the description. Yeah, so my Instagram is linked in the description. Go over there if you haven't followed me already. It's all on there. You'll get an understanding of what I mean. I'm fully open to ideas. If I can rearrange it to be a bit better, then absolutely I'll do that. The building is fixed into position, though. So moving that is going to be, it's not impossible, but it's going to be a bit tedious. It's more so figuring out where I can put the what's the bloody word? The petrol station again. I'm saying so many things. One thing I was thinking of was rotating the car park by 90 degrees, but that also means I need to have space for cars to be able to get in and out sideways. But if there's a building right next to it, that's going to be basically impossible. So you can understand the frustration I've got here. The police station, however, was much easier to figure out. All I had to do was take off, is basically the same situation. The car park was to the side and was shoved to the back base plate. I've taken that strip off and I've moved the car park to be in front of the building. Oh, pardon me. The sign has now been moved to the other side of the building, or the other side of the doors, I should say. And that front space is a lot more taken up, which looks so much better. Again, having all that open space in front was nice if it was a single module, if it was going to be on its own. But knowing it's going to be part of something larger, and even then just having that condensed space makes it so much better. And the same kind of goes for the bank. So the only other thing that was really done, this is the one that had the biggest change, because I did this in such a way where you got the bank building there, car parks on one side, and a little port, for like an entrance point for a bank van to back up, take some goods, and go straight off. That was to the side. That was on purpose as a way of making sure that bank was, or the van can securely enter and exit without any potential intrusion. I've moved that to the front, again, all for the same reasons, so I can have that side space available to put another module, another building right next to it. I don't know which one I would really put there. Probably the police station, if anything. I mean, that checks out, of all things, for security sakes. Then again, with the whole heist scene in the car park right next to it, don't know if that's going to be the best. But again, the point still stands, is a way of being able to utilize that. But yeah, it had me looking at my other modules, and I think all the other ones are basically fine. The only one I'm a bit concerned of, having said that, is the paint garage, because that has a tiny car park tucked off to the side, and it was made in such a way where it can line up with where is it? There we go. So yeah, it's built in a very awkward way where it can link up to another module, but the only two modules that could have happened with have both been modified, i.e. the diner and the police station. So I'm going to have to think about that. And I can't put it next to the service station either, because I have plans to put the street park next to it for the sake of having that open space. That's a point. Is there space to put 2 more road plates in? There is as well. I might do that, you know. I mean, I've literally got 4 available because I took them off 2 other modules. That's a point. I might. I think I might do that. I'm going to look into that after the live stream, because that's an interesting idea. That would definitely help in having all of them available. Yeah. All right, I'll keep that noted. Oh, what a chat. So many ideas. I mean, if I was doing the train layout, it would be the exact same situation. Station go here, goods yard here. If I ever win the lottery, I'm buying a warehouse and I'm rebuying all of the Lego train stuff I sold off. I'm going to be building an all-out layout again. Motoropolis will have a set place where I can just keep adding to that. There's going to be something I really want to add as well, is a level crop, like a strip that goes. So if we look back to this, one thing I would love to add, so just like a strip going along there, and it's just track. It's fenced off on both sides. In the middle, we've got a level crossing. I'd love to do that. I'm all in for that. That would likely be the only. Oh, pardon me. That would likely be the only train layout thing I will ever have again. I don't know if I'd make another. Maybe another station. That would. And I have to think on how I feel about that. Otherwise, the level crossing that goes with Motoropolis is going to be the only other train layout related item I would ever have again. I scrapped my layout after all, so it'd be one hell of a nightmare to build it all back up again. Sold off so many parts, made some good money, but all that money's gone. Oh, the times of being an adult. Right, let's have a look at some new models, shall we? So, another thing after Supersonic Brick Show last Saturday. Oh, that's what that's on. So after the show last Saturday, I had 87 cars on the table. My box of extra vehicles I did not take on purpose, as well as the what do you call it? The car carrier, the transporter. That needs to be modified as well. I need to get on with that soon enough. But as I had all the cars on the table, I realized, okay, I'm not going to be able to fit all of them on. So let me pick my favorites, or at least let me pick the worst ones to keep in the box. So there were a couple of vehicles that stayed in the box. They have been scrapped. In particular, it was the car that represented the character Antonio from Street Racers Chapter 1. And it was the limo that was seen in Street Racers Chapter 2. The character name for the limo is a crazy long one, so the limo that stands out. You will be able to see both of the mocks on the Street Racers dedicated playlist. But so there were 4 models in particular I looked at that needed a slight rebuild. So 3 of these are flat out completely these were built from the ground up. I completely scrapped the car and just started again. The wind from the fan is blowing my bubble wrap everywhere. Let me keep it down there, actually, because that's out of the way. So the first one is... Where's my brush? Let me make sure you're not dusty. You are covered in bubble wrap. How is it dusty? Stupid thing. Right, so the first one is this one. How is that for a car? Can I try on this side? Is that going to be better on this side? Not really. Well, the camera's... I wonder if the new camera is less... That's a point. I wonder if that new camera is more clear. But yes, this is the first rebuild. This was for the character of Vixen, one of the oldest models I had. It was initially based off of the Spider-Man Miles Morales car set. And some time went by and I thought, that's really showing its age, and it looks so similar to the actual set itself. So yeah, time for an overhaul. I've got a bunch of stickers from the World Racers theme from like a decade and a half ago. I can't remember when it came out, but I remember it coming out, loving it, and all this time later, somehow finding someone in the UK who had clean sticker sheets. It's pretty good, which is why you see all these flames on the front. Look at that piece, and then look at that. That's such a cool emblem. So yeah, it was... I mean, the idea was to utilize red and black. And I think just slicing it down the middle like that was fine enough for what I wanted. I'm using the Star Wars windscreen piece, which is transparent red with some black prints. I've used this on a couple of other mocks. Love the piece. Absolutely wonderful. And it's supposed to be a really flat, like a razor-sharp street racer. That's the style. It's aggressive, and I really do like that. I also love the character as well. So the character of Vixen... you can barely see because my webcam is a pile of ass. But he basically has a wife beater and suspenders. And the reason why I love this torso in particular, it matches the... So, you can't see because my webcam is shit. But basically, it's the minifigure head is the classic Lego City robber, where you've got that, that shit-eating grin with the golden tooth. But the torso has a couple of bloodstains on it. It's perfect. When I came up with the character, this was absolutely perfect. So that's the first rebuild. The second model I'm going to show you is actually the first of the 4 that I did. I wanted to grab this one first, but I just ended up grabbing something else. So this rebuild was more of a functionality rebuild. So this is one of my lowriders, but this was the only one that had some friction issues due to the mudguard pieces I was using. So we have this one, which represents the character of Dominic, which you will see in Street Racers Chapter 3. So this is now a new model. The one you're going to see in Chapter 3 is technically now out of date. So you will see why I made the changes and what changes I actually did make. This is a plate lower when you look at it from the top. The windscreen has been tidied up as well, so when I lean it back, it stays to that position. It can't go any further than that. And overall, the major change is the mudguard piece. So I had the red ones. It's like not an upside down U, but it's basically that small curve, but that's it. There's no side piece to it. And when the wheels were up on this model, it would catch the mudguard and basically cause a lot of friction. This model, whilst being impossible to demonstrate on camera, I'm moving this back and forth right now. There's no friction whatsoever. On the previous version with the mudguard pieces I was using, I could not have it roll at all. So that's car number 2. Seeing as I've got the bubble wrap here on my lap still, I may as well wrap it back up. Model number 3, I'll go in the order that I made them for these last 2. Yeah, I'll save that grey one for last. This is an extreme rebuild, but my god, I am so happy with it. So it's amazing how you look back at certain models and you realize how basic it was, but also at the same time you look at that model and think, yeah, when I made that, it was pretty good. But you get to see how your skills have changed over the years. So you look at that and go, yeah, that's out of date. That's a bit rubbish. Let me get this folded up. So model number 3, which uses the color scheme of teal and magenta. This had one hell of a glow up. It's basically a brand new car. How did you find making cars to when you made trains in terms of size? How much easier or harder is it? And detail room. So to answer your question, it is a lot easier for me to make a car compared to making trains. So to give you an example, this I was able to make within a day, maybe 6 hours. It took me a while to decide on the shape, especially on the side, because if you look at it this way, you can see it goes inwards and then back out. So deciding on that, when I got to that point, I went, okay, that's going to be that sense of character with this car. I've got it a shape. I know what colors I'm using. 6 hours later, the build was done. When it comes to making a train, if I'm going to go all in with it, it's going to take me a week on and off. Maybe longer than that, depending on the time I have available. And the issue I'm going to have is I have to make it look like something real. This is a freelance design. There is nothing I pulled from the real world to make this. You might recognize a car in the real world and go, okay, that reminds me of X model. And okay, fair enough. I mean, that was not my intention, but if you have that connection, then that's pretty good. I mean, thank you very much for seeing something that I haven't. But this is completely freelance. Compared to all the trains I've made, barring anything that was steampunk and all the giants, of course, I'm basing it off of something in real life. So I remember when I made the P2, the LNER P2, the very first Lego train I made that was 7 studs wide. I can't remember. The video of it is on my channel. It's like 5.5 years old as well. But I think I said it took me a week to make. Granted, I was learning how to go from 6 wide to 7 wide, and there was a lot of skills and such I was trying to figure out at the time. But the reason why it took so long is I had to make sure that what I'm building represented a real-life item. I've got the reference there I need to, but if I was going to make an LNER P2 today, I could probably do it in a couple of days, maybe a whole, again, with time on and off, depending on what I have available. But trains always took a lot longer to make. They were much more complicated. The cars are much easier for me to make. They are way quicker for me to make, and they are lots more fun for me to make. Because they're all freelance, this is a create. I said this to everyone I had the chance to say it to, both on camera, at a show, and to anyone who I had the chance to basically say it to. The cars, because they're freelance designs, it was a creative release I desperately needed. Because I remember the first Supersonic show we did back in 2023. So the show I did last Saturday, that same venue, but 2 years ago, the very first one. Took the train layouts, again, it was a great day. But I remember after the show was all done and I packed up, being so fed up of Lego trains. It was so frustrating because I wanted to make a locomotive in my own style, but I knew what the reception was going to be like if it wasn't a real locomotive. I don't know, especially nowadays, because I've been so detached from making Lego trains, I don't know if I would be able to make a freelance design and be fully satisfied with it. I probably could, drawing some inspiration from a couple of locomotives and having that's there. Of course, I'm going to try a streamlined Art Deco inspired locomotive, but the point still stands in it feels so different. All the building techniques I developed when I was making Lego trains translated perfectly when it came to making the cars. All the techniques and the skills, being able to visual. Okay, this piece for this bit, this piece for this bit. It works perfectly for this. Okay, these brackets will work here. These, oops, without taking two off. This particular piece is one that I've come to love absolutely. Okay, so these can go underneath here, under the bracket pieces, these windscreen pieces, these rims, and these colors. That initially developed when I was making Lego trains. But for the cars, it's times 100. So I'm not fully abandoning making Lego trains. I'm not. But I don't know if I'm going to come back to it by the end of the decade. I really don't know. The cars have been so much fun to make. I mean, looking at this, when I finally got this done, I was flabbergasted because this is now up there as one of the best Lego cars I've ever made. Of course, the recency bias is there, but again, I'm so satisfied to this compared to having to make 10 of the same coaches for an express, which again looks so beautiful when you see it all running on a layout. But I'd rather make 10 different cars than build 10 of the same coach just to make the same express longer. Does that make sense? It's a bit weird to describe. But ultimately, cars have been easier to make. The room for detail doesn't matter too much. You could definitely get more detail in on a locomotive because it is ultimately a larger item, but you can still capture so much shape and character on the cars, or at least I've been able to. So many other people who build cars in the Lego fandom have, they've got their own methods, they have their own styles, but it's a same type. What's the phrase? It's the same difference. I think that's it. But yeah, I have found my calling with this. And I want to make it known, when I first started doing YouTube, I was making Lego cars. I have no evidence to back this up because all the videos that I've got from my very early days, when you think back to the Emerald Champion version 1.1, that was the only train video I had on my channel when I was doing loads of car stuff around it. There was something that happened when I was back in secondary school, where my channel got found by one of my classmates. So in a panic to avoid being bullied at school because kids are assholes, I basically deleted all of my videos. I did not think to save any. But everything was all Lego car focused, and especially it was called Street Racers. It was basically a much more basic version of the models I'm showing you now. So yeah, I mean, I did trains for a decade, and that took off so well. But I basically came back to cars, and I desperately needed it. Desperately. The funny thing is, on the day I made my channel was the same. I uploaded a video that same day. I so wish I was able to I could go back into if I could go back in time. If I could do that, I wouldn't go to any historical events. I wouldn't meet anyone famous before they die or anything like that. I would, if I could go back in time, try and figure out the day or the day before I deleted all those videos. Just sneak onto my channel with a USB stick, just download and save all those videos, time travel back to the present and have those with me just so I can plug them in and get them on my channel again. I'd love to see what I was like back then. 13 years ago. Back to when it all started. Street racers. It was all there. Lego cars, Lego street racers. It was all there. That was the very beginning. Yeah, fair enough. I couldn't cope doing cars. I'm sure if I kept at it, I guess I'd get used to it. But for me, there's very less room for detail than there is in the train. That's just my opinion. I mean, you're spot on there. In the same sense where I could never do mechs or boats or anything like a different theme. Like cars and trains are just my theme. In the same way where certain people prefer botanicals, some people prefer bionicle, some people love Technic. You know, the Great Ball Contraption, Robot Wars, that sort of thing. That's what they are best at. For yourself, it's all about railways and trains because you can absolutely capture the detail. That canvas is perfect for you, and that's so good. The train canvas was so good for me as well. The canvas for making cars is just a bit better, in my opinion. Again, everyone has their talents. Everyone has their... I can't find my bloody words. Everyone has their space. They have their bubble. They know what they're good at, and they stick to that, and they thrive. Again, I saw your pictures of your... Is it Tidmouth? Yeah, making Tidmouth sheds. I saw pictures on Discord. It's... I mean, point proven there. Point proven right there. Let me have another quick look at it, because I want to... Yeah, you put up a picture about 15 minutes ago. Look at that! Look at that! That is wicked cool. But you see what I mean, where my version of that is basically the city dioramas for Motoropolis. Not to say that they're matching this level of detail. Good lord, I can't match. Well, it's a bit unfair comparing a tiny bank to a massive train shed. But look at this. I mean, that is your canvas. You find this so much better and so much easier because this is what you thrive at the most. This is what I thrive at the most. I truly believe that. If I was doing better with trains, I wouldn't have gotten rid of it all. That'll be a good discussion for another day, I think. I'll probably turn that into a full conversation. Something like that. Rock Band Hyena, hello, thank you very much for tuning in. How are you doing? Very good to see you again. Sorry I couldn't message back last night. By the time you messaged me, I was completely yonked out in bed. Oh, time zone. It's going to be even more tricky to get in touch now because you're working again. And on top of that, I live in a different part of the world, so it's going to be a bit tricky. But still, thank you so much for tuning in. Good to see you again. How are you? We have been looking at some new mocks recently. I'll send you some pictures after we're done here, seeing as you've got a bit of free time tonight. Right, just got to get there. So this is the fourth and final of the recent rebuilds. So thanks to the show I did on Saturday, there was one model in particular that I looked at, I thought, that's really weak. That's really old and a bit rubbish. Let me get a drink 1 sec. My throat's getting dry. Stay hydrated, folks. Oh. Right, let me just read Seth's comment before I show off this next model. So that's completely fair. Trains are very much my strong point, as cars are for you. Either way, you're cooking up with the builds. Inspiration since day one. Oh, that's very cool to hear. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you recognize the differences. I mean, it's basically what theme do you prefer in the same way where you would translate all these mocks to sets. What theme of sets do you prefer the most? It's basically that, but making your own stuff. So I would love the Speed Champion stuff, where you would definitely adore all the railway related sets. That City Central Station set, such a good. That's a point. Let me just a quick distraction. I went to the Lego store earlier today. The Iron Man car that came out at the start of the year, I cannot find it anywhere. Is it retired? Sorry, this is bug because I've been looking for this set for a while just to get one more for the parts. Have they retired it already? There's no way. Okay, it's still there. I'm sorry, but this is bugging me. Well, okay, there are some in stock. I guess you should have it on the shelf. Oh my god, it's such a good. Okay, right. Guess about another time. Oops, don't do that, stupid computer. No burp juice? No more burp juice. Ever since I moved into this place, I've basically ditched getting Lucasade. I mean, I do still drink it every now and then, but I was drinking so much of it, it's not good. So I've got some squash. Again, Vimto specifically. That's good. I work evenings, including tonight, but I'll be off tomorrow to chat though. All right, so I'll tell you what. I'll save the chatting for tomorrow then, if you want to do that. We'll save it for then. Right, so this is model number 4 from the rebuilds. So there was one model in particular. It was dark grey and yellow. And I remember this model being a bit tricky at the time. Oh, pardon me. This is also a model you can find in Streets Racers Chapter 2. Oh, pardon me. There it is. So that's magenta and teal car, by the way. Again, that is a completely different model from the one that's appeared. So that was a rebuild of the model for the character Dakota, which is episode 24 of Chapter 2. This one is, so what's that? So that's 5, 6, 7, 8. From episode 9, character named Bullet Bill. There we go. But this one, yeah, this is pretty wicked. And this is going to inspire another shape I want to try as well, thanks to this middle section here. So dark grey and yellow is a nice color combination. The previous model was a bit rubbish with it, but this I think is much nicer. The yellow highlights on the wheel, that line along the bottom, the line on the windscreen, just that yellow big spoiler. I think this looks so good. It's such a massive improvement to what this was previous. Again, this was completely taken apart and rebuilt from the ground up. This is so much better. The only thing I'm a bit bummed out with, and I don't know if I want to actually change this because it means I've got to do a bit more modifying. So on the back there, you can see the exhaust pipes on the bottom and these red rear lights right above it. They're quite chunky and I think I kind of want them flat. But with how this is all made, I don't know well, I do know how I would go about doing it. But it's a matter of, if anything, getting this entire rear section redone to accommodate how I would make it. So basically, do I have any pieces here to demonstrate? I should be able to. Yeah, okay. So, we are all familiar with these bracket pieces, yes? So, if you have a bracket this way, so the thin part is facing upwards, that is equivalent to 1 brick in height. It's a bit tricky for me to show this, but a bracket on its side, so that's a bracket the right way up, put it on its side, and it's 1 brick in height. So what I've got here is a bracket facing its regular position. So 2 stars like this, that is 5 plates tall, so a brick and 2 plates. So what I'm thinking is, have the bracket on its side like that. The exhaust pipes will still be on this bottom section, but I can use, whoops, without dropping it all, 2 more plates, like a grey plates layer above it, and then 2 thin lights on top of that to fill in that same space, but to have basically some tail lights that aren't so chunky. I might play with that if I can be bothered to, but ultimately it's not so distracting from the end result. Yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I knew yellow was going to be the secondary color, and I think it was ultimately a much wiser choice to use the secondary color more as a highlight. So again, you see it as a line going across the bottom. You can see it in the wheels. Yes, the spoiler makes a kind of big difference, but that's a good thing. So there's not too little yellow on there. The windscreen piece I'm using is from the Lotus Speed Champion set. That yellow line going along the bottom of the windscreen piece. Perfect for this kind of model. An engine piece on the front, because why not? And yeah, that is the latest model, technically. So because it's a completely different model, despite it being a rebuild, this will be appearing in Street Racers, technically Chapter 5, because I've got 30 for Chapter 4 already. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that. Seth there saying it looks like the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. Like I said earlier, these cars are all completely freelance in design, but you will see some real-life resemblance. I'm trying not to look at any real-life cars for inspiration, because I'm not trying to make real-life cars with these. These are all just custom. What's a shape that looks funky? So speaking of funky shapes, this little angled piece here is something I wanted to try, and I went back and forth on how I wanted to do this. This one area basically took me all day to be happy with, which is not a good thing to say, but sometimes models are like that. So I'm going to try another model in the future where that's a bit more pronounced, where it's a bit, maybe not sharper, but there's going to be a much longer upward angle. And I'm going to do the same for the back. So it's the same shape, but I need to look into how I'm going to do that. I do have an idea. And there's a certain sticker that would work with it. That's another model for another day, though. So yeah, that is the line of rebuilds that I have done. I'll tell you what, I'll wrap them up afterwards. Oh wow, what a live stream. We had a lot to talk about. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. This has been a pretty good live stream. We've got 5 minutes left, so if you have any questions for the chat, fire away. Let's do a little Q&A as I catch up with the chats. Josh saying, don't worry, you can still send it. I'll send what you check. You can still send what you have. I'll check back when I can. Okay. It took me 3 times to read that. Look, just remember something. Someone else made a 4-stud Lego mock of Thomas that used being, I'm guessing that's supposed to say that user being the Texan train. Yes, this is someone I am familiar with. Why do I have a message on Discord? Yeah, this is a guy who is in a Lego Thomas server that I'm in on Discord. I have seen his mocks. I'm actively trying to look for them now, which is a bit pointless because it's going to take a while. I do know who you mean. And yes, I have seen them. Yeah, use or not use, fair enough. I was going to suggest brackets to thin out the tail. Yeah, I might try that because it would just look a bit better. The door handles. What am I using for the door handles? Oh, yeah. So door handles on my car mocks will either be these sort of teeth pieces. Can I get one out? Let me try and get one out. Hey, and I got some tweezers. I need to be careful here. There we go. So these sort of tiny teeth pieces are ones that I've used a lot as door handles for my cars. The other popular piece are roller skates that you usually get with minifigures. Just tiny pieces that protrude enough to act as nice, subtle handles. And that is also used a lot when it comes to coaching stock for railways. Seth, you can back me up there. It's been good to watch these again. I'm not normally this nocturnal. Well, it must be almost 5 a.m. for you now, right? Going by what you said at the start of the stream, it should be almost 5 a.m. That's confirming the door handles. Yep, nice. But yeah, it's been good to be able to chat with you like that. 4:56 a.m. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. But yeah, this has been a very good live stream. Lots of chatting, lots of people coming along, plenty of chat in the chat. But yeah, nice to be back. We are closing in on the 100th live stream. What do we do for that? I'll make a post soon to talk about what we could do. What should we do? When I did my 10th anniversary live stream, it was a Q&A. Let me go find my live stream. Which was, yes, so live stream number 9 was my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. It was the 10-year day. And it was a 2.5-hour live stream and was just Q&A. That was really fun. I would like to maybe do that again. I don't know, because I mean, for the 100th, what else could we do? I don't want to do like a live build or something. I don't want to do an all-day stream. That's out of the question, because there's just too many chances for something to go wrong or something inconvenient to happen. Oh, I'll put the idea out there. Yeah, I reckon a Q&A, but if you pre-ask questions in Discord, collect the answer room on the stream. Yeah, I think if anything, it might be that. Because the reason why it's 2.5 hours long is because I collected so many questions in advance. But yeah, I think a Q&A, if anything. Just realised you got a Voltec t-shirt on. Mm-hmm. I've had this shirt for years. It still fits. Well, it's it's a medium technically, but it's a larger medium. Or I could recreate dropping the Hogwarts Express. I actually don't think I can. The reason why... So, to anybody who doesn't know, what live stream was this? There was a stream I did a couple of years ago. It must have been 2022, because that's when the set came out. I've got some new toys, episode 19. Cursed live stream, episode 25. I'll try and... I do have someone, the user who goes by RK. Sadly, he's not here tonight, but he was able to clip the actual moment of the model, or well, the set falling off the bed. So yes, anybody who doesn't know, when I was living in my previous place, for a while, my bed was sat in front of my computer there, so I would sit on the end of my bed and stream from there. So it would be very awkward. But one thing that was tricky was because I'm sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress is of course dipping downwards. So if I'm going to have anything with wheels, I need to put it on its side, not upright, because then it will start to roll off the edge of the bed. I wonder if you know where I'm going with this. So the massive UCS Hogwarts Express set, that was a set that I bought, I think soon after it came out, pretty much. It wasn't on release day, but I know that it was soon after it came out, because I brought it to the LUKR's member weekend for that year. So I was showcasing the sets, having some fun with it. I did the locomotive boiler, then the tender, then the coach, and I think the station last. Did it in 4 separate units. So I did the boiler, put it to my side, and I leaned forward to get something else, but because I put the locomotive boiler upright on its wheels, it slowly rolled forward, and you just hear on the floor, and it all crashes, and there's an amazing reaction to basically seeing an expensive set break. I think that's the only occasion I've ever had of an expensive set breaking on me. I swear to God, there's one part I never actually reclaimed because I had to get another part from my stash to fill it in. So the original part from that set is still in my other, well, not my other home, but my previous home from like 3 years ago at this point. Still tucked away there in a bunch of dirt and dust. Good times. Yeah, it was good times. I need to find that clip now. What I'm going to do, after we're done, I'm going to go onto the live stream tab and I will post the live stream clip. It's like the most memorable moment of all of my live streams. It has to be. Right? Surely. Yeah, I'll look into that because yeah, it's a big moment. I'm so glad I got clips as well. Only Fallout stuff I got is TV show Pip-Boy and Vault Boy Funko Pop. I used to have a couple of Pip-Boys. I had the Fallout 76 prop replica Pip-Boy, the one that you had to construct yourself. That was a wicked product. I had the Fallout 4 Pip-Boy because I went to a CEX, basically a video game store here in the UK, where they had the PS4 version of Fallout 4 with the metal tin and the Pip-Boy collector set. I just remember going, oh, I want that, and basically bought it. Didn't care for the game itself, just, got the Pip-Boy. And I do technically have, just as a signing off moment, your very flattering angle right here, something I might rebuild one day, from many years ago, a custom Fallout Pip-Boy. So this is supposed to be very retro, one of the earlier designs. So we've got a massive dial here on the side from radio. I can't remember what these all stood for. I know that one stands for map. Your radio frequency, tuner along the top there. Your satellite to be able to pick up the frequencies in the first place. We've got the power button here. Just a printed screen because that's not going to be anything too fancy. A slot in the bottom to put your holotapes. On the back, it says Pip-Boy 1700 Mark III, indicating it's a really early model. This is where the strap was, but the glue I used to have it all held together was minging and all peeled off. I might get this fixed because it would be cool just to have a Pip-Boy again. And a custom one at that. Very inconvenient, but you know what? I'll look into it. Very lovely. I do also have a custom stand for it. So when I have it on my shelf up here, it basically looks like this. Right then, folks, that is going to mark the end of the stream. Let me just put that back with my arm in the way of the webcam. Look at that. So thank you very much to Terminator Fan 1984, Seth Bricht, and Rock Band Hyena, all for tuning in tonight in the chat. It has been a great time tonight. It has been really fun talking with you all, answering your questions, and of course having a great conversation about Lego trains and cars earlier. Great time, absolutely loved it. Had some fun showing off some new mocks because it's always cool to see something new. And that is pretty much it. We have gone a little over an hour. That's okay though. So next Sunday, it is going to be the 27th. Next Sunday is basically going to be all the hype surrounding Street Racers Chapter 3. So so Friday, hang on, before we do, Thursday the 31st, the Chapter 3 opener goes live, and then the season truly begins with the first profile going on Friday the 1st. So I cannot wait for that to go out because, again, this is the single best project I've ever done for YouTube. I'm so happy with it. I'm so proud of it. 3 days of back-to-back filming, 2 days of back-to-back editing, and we all get to see it together. I cannot wait. So thank you everyone so much once again for coming along. Seth Brick, you are an absolute lunatic for staying up at 4 a.m. to tune in for this. But fair enough, absolutely fair enough. I shall see you all next week for another live stream. I have no more videos planned until Season 3 goes live. After that, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do next, but only time will tell. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I shall see you all next week for our next live stream. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.